Calories matter for weight loss, but your metabolism matters more. My name is Brian. I've been in the health and wellness world for close to 20 years, and I've been coaching pro-metabolic health for almost 10. Today, we're going to talk about weight loss. And in particular, we're going to talk about one of my favorite studies that looks at weight loss from a very big, broad perspective. Let me ask you this question. What's the best diet? And if you don't have an answer for that, that's okay, because there really isn't a perfect diet or the best diet. The closest thing to the best diet is the diet you're able to follow. So if your goal is weight loss and you have a very strict, regimented plan of I've got to do this really weird food, I'm going to eat raw liver every day or raw testicles every day because I'm going to do the whole extreme primal Liver King nonsense diet, or maybe I'm going to fast. I'm going to fast for 16 hours, but if 16 is good, maybe I should do 17 or 18 or 20, or you know what, I'll just do a 3-day fast. The more extreme the diet, the harder it is to stick with it. And the harder it is to stick with it, the harder it is to be consistent long enough to see the changes that you want to see. So the best diet of all the diets that you could possibly follow is the diet that you're going to be most likely to be able to follow over the long term. Now we can get into the discussion of micronutrient ratios, macronutrient ratios, overall fat oxidation versus glucose oxidation, thyroid function, polyunsaturated fats. That's all another conversation for another time. Right now, let's just assume that we want you to find a diet that works well for you and you've already found it. Now that said, this particular study I want to talk about is called the Matador study. What the Matador study was, it was comparing two different groups. On the one hand, we had 16 weeks of caloric deficit. They cut calories every week for 16 weeks and no days off for 16 weeks. They lost weight. And on the other hand, you have the other group. And what they did was the same thing with a bit of a twist. They had 16 weeks of dieting, 16 weeks of caloric deficit. However, what made that group different, they were only doing a caloric deficit in 2-week intervals. So what that means is they did 2 weeks of deficit, 2 weeks at maintenance calories, 2 weeks at deficit, 2 weeks at maintenance calories. And they repeated that process until they accrued a total of 16 weeks of caloric deficit. So on the one hand, it was 16 weeks straight shot, deficit the whole time. On the other hand, it was 32 weeks. 16 weeks of that was spent in a deficit, 16 weeks of that was spent at maintenance. And what they found at the end of the study was the group that did the maintenance breaks in between every 2 weeks, they had a greater amount of weight lost over the course of the 16 weeks of dieting. Not only that, group that had the maintenance periods thrown in had a better success rate at keeping the weight off once they lost it. So again, sticking through 16 weeks, that's a lot of motivation, that's a lot of willpower. Having 2 weeks of a break to give yourself a mental reprieve for one, and for two, to help to mitigate any potential downregulation of your metabolism in that caloric deficit period, that group saw greater, longer lasting health benefits and weight loss. So instead of thinking it has to be an all or nothing approach, what the Matador study shows us is it's not all or nothing. It's sometimes. I absolutely love this study. I'm going to put the link for it in the description below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, stick around. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Take care.